Welcome to Tiny Fangorn. We're going to take this brambled mess and we're going to scrape some of this away in preparation for a concrete pad. Why? This starts a series known as the tiny home or cabin build here on my property. And from zero, we're going to go all the way to a fully completed cabin. But today we're just going to scrape the lot and get it ready for forming and concrete. And here comes Josh now in his white truck and that new trailer carrying the excavator. This is going to make our job so much easier when it comes to prepping the site and getting ready to form up the 24 by 32 pad that we plan to pour. But today all we're trying to do is scrape the ground so that we have a place to work in. I'm excited to get started on this project. This will be a multi-part project, and like I said, from zero to a fully completed cabin that I'll be using on the property when I want to get away from the big city, as well as maybe some Airbnb. Well, Josh, we're out here for a project here at my place, Tiny Fangorn.
Yep.
What are we building?
We're gonna build a tiny home.
A tiny home?
A tiny home, yeah.
And the tiny home that we're building is, you know, what purpose are we gonna use it for?
I believe you're gonna Airbnb it, aren't you?
Yeah, I think we're gonna do Airbnb. It's gonna be a proof of concept first. We're gonna, our plans are to have several of these buildings, but this will be the first one. Mm-hmm. And we're purchasing a lumber kit from a local source.
Yep.
Keep our money local. Of course, lumber, that's pretty much what you're going to do anyway. But what are some of the steps that we're looking to do overall for the project?
Well, step one is going to be to clear off some of this brush and bramble and get the house site scraped down.
Okay.
Get the topsoil pushed back and get us a nice flat pad to start with. And then the next step would be to form it up.
Okay.
For the concrete. And then we would do the plumbing and any electrical that needs to come up through it, and get some grades, some fine gravel in there for grade, and some rebar, some plastic, and then pour concrete.
Okay. And so we're pushing dirt today. That's primarily our purpose today.
Yeah, we're going to be pushing dirt.
We're going to be marking where we want. We think there could be as many as 3 of these cabins in this line here, and we're going to start in the middle, basically. And we've used our boots to scrape some markings, if you will. We're going to paint those up here in a bit, but and then once we have this dirt scraped off, then the next step would be forming it up, like you were saying, and basically it's a 24 by 32, and we would form it up, and then we would, like you said, put the conduit and stuff that we need in there, the pipe or the tubing for the plumbing and the electrical, and then gravel goes on top of that, or?
Yeah, we're gonna put some gravel in there for fill. We're gonna be doing a monolithic slab.
Okay.
So it'll be the footing and the slab all in one. So the slab needs to just be 4 inches thick, but around the perimeter where the footing is, it needs to be 12 by 16.
Okay.
To support the weight of the structure. So once we get it scraped off all flat, instead of putting dirt back in there, we'll just fill it full of gravel.
Okay. And that's pretty typical for
That's very typical for where we are here in this part of the country.
Right.
In different areas, they always fill with something that's locally readily available.
Right.
We don't have sand here, so it won't be filled with sand. We don't want to waste our topsoil. The clay is not really a great building material, so we're going to scrape it down to some virgin soil. Make sure we have a good flat spot or virgin soil.
Okay.
So we have a good solid pad to pour the concrete on for the foundation. And then the area where the slab's going to be, we're going to fill that full of pea gravel.
And then we were talking earlier off camera that we're probably going to push back around 50 feet.
Yeah.
Because we're thinking this will be ultimately a driveway that circles back out where we're standing now. And so parking for each unit is going to be about 20 feet in.
20 feet in, yeah.
And then another 30 feet beyond that for the cabin itself.
Beyond that for the cabin itself.
Okay,
yeah.
Okay. So
so we're going to be clearing basically a 33 wide here by about 50 deep into this bramble and brush.
Right. And that's all. This was bush hogged once upon a time, but this grows up after a couple of years here in northern Tennessee, and you'll see a lot of this in Kentucky and Tennessee. Just basically blackberry brambles and
wild roses.
Yep. That sort of thing.
Goldenrod, all that good stuff.
Right. And then what I'll do is I'll put up on the screen here the basic building plan that we're going to be working off of, and then how to get started. And basically this is like from scratch. There's nothing here. This building's going to be off grid.
Oh yeah.
So the only thing that we're bringing in is water.
Yeah.
So we have a hydrant over there, but we're bringing in water because we already have water on the property, but this will be solar powered. And I'm still working in my head how we might do some of the appliances and so forth, but mostly solar for this, for the power for these cabins that we're ultimately going to build. And again, this will be a proof of concept to see how well it does here in the Dale Hollow, northern Tennessee area.
There you go.
Alrighty, Josh, we're going to get some footage of you unloading this cool excavator, and then if we need to talk anymore, we're going to paint some stripes and whatnot, or at least some markers, and then we'll get you going.
Okay, sounds great.
So some of you may remember, if you watched Josh's previous video, some of the maintenance on this excavator, and he washed it, cleaned it off pretty well, and then he went in and greased it up really good. How many hours between greasings?
I like to grease like my boom and my stick and my bucket about every 8.
Yeah.
Especially if I'm in really muddy stuff and getting it down in water or something, for sure.
Right.
But I really think the book says every 20 hours or something, which seems kind of light to me, but you definitely don't want to over grease it, because then you end up with a mess, grease leaking all over the place and more than you really need.
Right. And this Gator-made trailer that you purchased is doing really well for you.
Been really good. The only complaint I've had was that cheap plastic box that they had on the tongue that I have since replaced.
Yeah, let's go take a look at that. It just had a plastic box up front, and if I can think about it, I'll try to show you that box, what it looked like prior to this. And then what Josh has done is taken this diamond plate and welded it to fit that triangle here up front. And if we get a chance, we'll open up the lid here so you can see what it looks like on the inside. He still needs a divider in there, but other than that, the tire rests on it as well, I think.
It's barely touching it.
Barely touching.
Yeah.
But you can see we got the compressor and everything in there. The battery's protected better. He can also keep spare parts in here if he needs to. But that's
much better deal than the chintzy plastic box they had on.
Yeah.
I saw that exact box the other day at Tractor Supply for $100.
$100, yeah.
And I have $100 in material plus my time. So, you know, it would have cost them more money to do this. But this is far superior. Far superior than what they.
And the box, the old box, stuck out a little bit and didn't quite get in the way with the jack, but kinda.
It did interfere with the jack. It rubbed right up against it. I really didn't like that either.
Right, so this won't do that.
Didn't stop me from buying the trailer. I knew as soon as I saw it, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna get rid of that thing. And
I think you even mentioned that in the video when you bought the trailer, that's probably something you were gonna yank. And did you get rid of the beep beep yet? When you
yes, I eliminated the beep beep back here. So I put the flasher in here. There's a flasher that makes all the lights flash while you're dumping. But as far as the reverse beep 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 while it's going up and down, yeah, I got rid of that too. There's no reason to have all that extra noise.
Understood. And now we can see the 26G. Now while he's unloading that, all I've done is come over here with some marker paint and just giving him the rough outlines here at the entrance so to speak. And just to show them what we're scraping off today. And again, we're just pushing this straight back today. That dirt eventually will be used for fill in and around the building once we've got the pad poured. So at the moment, we know about where we want this. Now, to the right of this, it's not marked at the moment, is where the second building would go. And if the first building does well and we have it, you know, it's renting nicely, we think, well, we could probably go ahead and build a second one, and the buildings will be far enough apart that we'll have the ability to put 3 of them, again, in this row. You can see the marking, and then to the left of the marking is also, it's about 100 feet between where the road is going to be behind me now and all the way over here. So we're looking at, and then another cabin's going to go right here. And they're going to open up to this middle area where he's parked right now. We're going to have a pavilion out front, probably a fire pit, that sort of thing for our guests. So that's what we got going on. I'm going to shut up and let's watch Josh move this excavator off the trailer.
Myself around to the side here where I'm looking right down at my blade when I'm scraping stuff off like this. You can see exactly what I got going on here with my blade.
I can tell you, those brambles will cut you right up right here in this part of Tennessee. You get a lot of wild roses and blackberries. Wild blackberries. Blackberries are great. I come out here in the spring and
bust them up. Pluck that joker out of here. Up on my stock. Somewhere over there I've got my 50-foot mark.
Now what he's looking for is he's looking for a flag that I've got. This is about 50 feet in, so I'm going to stand
on that side
where that flag is.
Oh, I see it right there. It's right here. Yeah, isn't that the pink ribbon right there?
That's it.
All right.
So
we
now
got a whip and a depth blade out here. We're gonna go ahead and start knocking this down.
The building itself is about 32 feet deep.
realm sticking up right here. It's going to take a little bit more than the getting way out of there.
Down some of the brush at the moment.
Preliminary scrape on the whole thing. Get as much of this weeds and stuff beat down as we can. And then we'll come back in and do a secondary scrape. See what I've got going on here. Ready to form up, actually lay something out. I'm not too worried about this little hole right in front of me right here. That's going to be a parking area. Okay, we call that scalped. That's called scalping in the business.
Excuse me. Scalping.
We took the hair off, we scalped it.
Right.
Got it down to that nice layer below the topsoil. It's virgin soil, it's good and clean, free of organic matter, and ready to form up and pour concrete.
So there's a few things sticking up in here and there, but that's...
Yeah, we'll chop those out. And I didn't really concentrate too much here on this first 20 feet of it because this is going to be parking area.
Right.
And ultimately this is all going to get covered with gravel.
Okay.
And it's the 30 feet from this 20 feet back that I really concentrated on getting all the organic matter out of. And down just till you can see how the soil changes color from being that dark brown to that lighter.
That lighter?
Yeah, that lighter color is good dirt, but there should be very little roots and organic in it. And that's what we want to do, is get all the organic matter off the top that would decompose once we pour concrete.
Okay.
And we're still going to dig in a little bit with our forms.
What about this hole right here?
Again, that's in the parking area. Over the course of the project, I'm sure we'll get some dirt and we'll fill it before we apply gravel.
Or you could just
I could
push.
scrape
There's a
some
hump,
of this into
there's
that.
a hump right now,
Yeah.
right here. Just scrape it into there.
I sure could.
Just a little bit of a hole here, folks. So we're going to scrape a little bit of this dirt and just fill it in a bit. One hole. One hole.
All right, man. On to whatever you got next.
Break time. All right, Josh, we found some treasure.
Look at the treasure we just found under the dirt right here.
This is an aluminum ruler.
It's an aluminum yardstick, exactly 36 inches, made by Swanson. Even has some conversion tables on it. And it's in centimeters and millimeters also, as well as inches.
You just never know what you might find.
And I'm shocked. It says made in China right on it.
Right on
I mean,
it.
it's been laying in the dirt. There's no corrosion. The paint's not even knocked off of it. I must have ran this thing over 5 times.
And it looks practically new.
Almost brand new. Very nice. Very nice.
All right. All right, Josh, what are we doing next here?
We're going to go ahead and lay out where we're going to put the house.
Okay.
We're going to put these stakes right in the corner
Yeah.
and check it for square and the proper dimensions. And that way when we come back here, we'll already have some stakes that we can work off of to put our batter boards up. And just because we're ready for it. We're ready to lay out right now.
And you've got some of these metal stakes that you already use for forms, don't you?
Yeah, these are metal formwork stakes, or curb pins, people call them. They're pre-drilled with holes. They're a mild steel. They're pretty easy to bend. Pretty typical concrete formwork tool.
Right.
That and my old trusty sledgehammer. And a good tape measure is about all you need.
And what we've scalped here is overly wide because the cabin is 24, but this is roughly 33, so in width.
Yeah.
So we've got.
Just want to make sure we have plenty of room to work. There's no sense leaving all this bramble for us to go trudging through and get ourselves all cut and ripped up and bleeding. And
so how do we know? We have to measure then 20.
Yeah, we're going to go back 20 feet.
20 feet.
And drive a pin. And then we'll go back 30 feet from that and we'll drive a pin.
32, yeah.
And then we'll measure over 24 from these stakes parallel. And then when we have the 4 stakes in the ground, we'll measure diagonally across and make adjustments until we're square.
Until we're square.
Yeah, and we're just going to get it within an inch.
Within an inch, yeah.
For the basic, when we put the batter boards up and shoot them at a level, that's when we're going to go for dead nuts perfect, 0, 0 all the way around. But for just preliminary layout to see where the 4 corners are going to go, if we have it within an inch, that's fine.
Okay, so we need to figure out from what our width is here, should be 33 feet-ish, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was 33 feet-ish. We should be able to go back. You know, I can still see your orange paint there and your orange paint here. So if we just measure 16.5.
And then go 20 in.
Yeah, that would be center. And from that 16.5, we can come over 12 and 12.
On either side of that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I guess we'll get going.
Yeah.
All right, so you found right here where the...
Yeah, that's 16.5.
16.5, that's our center.
Yeah.
And then we're measuring...
I measured over 12.
12.
And this is just going to keep us centered on our lot. Now I'm going to come this way 20. Stay about the same distance off of that. Grab another stake here.
And folks, the reason why we're measuring in 20 is there's going to be a gravel pad here for parking for 2 vehicles, and the cabin will be beyond that. And again, we're just doing a rough estimate today, but we want to get within an inch-ish when we do our diagonals.
Yeah, when you look at an area sometimes you're like, oh yeah, that looks square. It's really difficult. It really takes pulling the diagonals to make sure that you're really square.
Right.
All right, so this is 20 feet back from there.
All righty.
About the same distance off of the edge I made right there. Okay, and we're gonna go 30 feet from there.
Yep.
Or is it 32?
32.
May have to push some of this dirt back a little further, and I actually think I need to come over here. Right on the stake?
Middle of the stake.
32 exactly.
Okay.
Now we're going to measure 24 across. Well, we can do it that way too. We can come back 20. We can come back this way 20 just to make sure we're pretty parallel to your... Just kind of eyeball that, Brian, so that we're measuring straight.
Yep. So we need to be
12 feet from there. See the orange paint?
Yep.
Kind of right where I'm standing.
Yeah.
Holy cow, man.
What about that? What about that? If there's one thing you'll learn in watching videos with Josh is he's been doing concrete and construction work for 40 years, and he can eyeball things pretty closely. We were just talking about leveling some stairs, and he had to tell the guy who formed it up that he had to drop it 2 inches so that the water would drain correctly, and the guy couldn't see it. But Josh can. All right, 32 from there.
.32's back here.
All right, so we got to push some back a little bit.
Yeah, I got to push this back some.
See,
I could before. I know it's close to this little ash tree right there. It's obviously back further. I'm gonna just come in here and push this all back another 4 or 5 feet.
alrighty. All right, Josh, so we've laid out these stakes and we're gonna put ribbons on these, but we've done 24 from me to you.
Yeah.
We've done 32 from me to the stake back there.
Yeah.
Done the same for the other one. And then we did our diagonals and it was coming in just around 40 feet diagonal, I think. It was a little more maybe, but pretty close.
Pretty close.
So I feel like now we have a rough idea of where the cabin is really going to go. And for some of you that do construction, you know, you can build things in your mind. You can already see a cabin sitting here. I'm not one of those people, but now that we've scraped and we've got the actual box with these stakes, it's starting to really come alive in my mind. So that's awesome.
So the next thing will be putting up batter boards and establishing finished floor elevation.
Right.
And then forming it up.
And like you said, this little plot right here is relatively level. We'll move a little bit more dirt, probably from this high side over here. Maybe move it down here to the low side, I don't know, or just push it back.
It's definitely not perfectly level. We've probably got a couple inches.
Yeah.
Here.
Your eyeballing thinks that it's probably 3 inches higher over here where you are.
I think we're 3 inches higher here than that side.
That side, yeah.
Which is fine for what we're doing because we'll dig this side in 1.5 inches and be right on the ground over there or something similar.
Right.
We'll make it work out. We've got plenty of dirt here. We definitely won't need to buy any dirt. If we need some dirt, we'll just go dig a hole.
We got dirt here. In fact,
so I mean, we'll just go dig a hole.
dig a hole.
Yeah.
Because we're going to dig
Load
a hole
it in the
back
trailer,
there.
bring it over here, dump it, spread it, compact it, and go from there.
All right. Well, Josh, is there anything else we can get done today, you think?
Not in this spot, no, because it's ready for batter boards at this point.
Okay. Well, I'd say this is then part one of the tiny house cabin build.
Yep.
For
sure.
For Odd Jobs Hijinks. So appreciate you coming down with your equipment today.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely.
This is fun.
I love this kind of stuff.
All right, well, you send us out.
Odd jobs, high jinks. Like and share.
That's right. Alrighty, hopefully the wind isn't knocking me out too much, but I've gone ahead and mowed the right and left side of where we scalped today. You can see the stakes out there showing the four corners of the cabin. Pretty darn close to what will be needed when we get forming for concrete. Some of you might be wondering, why concrete? For this project, we're going to use concrete as the foundation because we're also going to use the concrete as the floor inside the cabin. And we're going to show you how to do a stain and dye technique that will come out with some pretty spectacular results, or at least we hope so. But yeah, this is mown on both sides. So eventually there's going to be a cabin over here. First cabin here in the center. And the second cabin over there. We'll have three of them right here. So that's what's going on. And a little bit of bush hogging to get rid of those brambles. Take care. We hope to see you in a future video.